Ah, Jesus. Well, this is off to a great start. Right, okay. So, blind playthrough the Duckling Seed, untangling my cords. Let's move on to party selection. So let's see what kind of forced party we've got today. We're forced a thief. Now, I should point out that my preferred strategy includes one thief, but I'm kind of alone in this. Well, not alone in this. There's not very many people in the rando community that enjoy a thief. They have run speed, they have black magic, levels 1 through 4 after class change. Their armor sucks, their weapons suck, their stat scaling sucks. In terms of an effective melee class, like even with the katana, they're still kind of crap. But they have a lot of what I feel to be utility. And we may be seeing that as I'm going to preemptively rename mine Dead. Why am I naming him Dead? Because if I will be inspecting level 1 through 4 black magic pretty early, because starting Canaria, Provoca's probably first on my list, Elfland is probably 3rd or 4th destination on my list. I'll get a sense, I'll know then immediately like what black magic is there, and from there it's a personal sense of whether or not it's worth carrying that thief the distance. But I preemptively name him Dead because it's funny to me. The rest of my party forms itself. We need a fighter, we need a red mage, and we need a black mage. Why these three? So, you need a melee. Melee in descending order of effectiveness, I would have fighter, followed by... Fighter and black belt both have their strengths. If we're talking anything under, like, 250% scaling, I want a fighter. They're faster out of the gate, you only need to get them to, like, you know, mid-20s. Just stick them with Mazza or a Vorpal or Excalibur, whatever you can find that you're comfortable with, and they'll do great. The black belt is what you take when you want to go the distance. If you have aims of hitting like level 30 or higher, take a black belt. Because as soon as that black belt hits 32, I don't care what that knight is swinging. The black belt is going to outpace them drastically. Sure, they have a hard time surviving in the early game and a hard time doing anything until they hit at least like level 15, but that's the gamble you take, is are you going the distance or are you doing a sprint? In the case of these flags, enemies at 140, bosses at 200, we're sprinting. So, we've got our two mages. Why am I taking red-black? Don't get me wrong, white mage is a good class. White mage is a good class for consistency and for safety of late game. I run very aggressive more often than not. A black mage's run speed is second only to a thief, so they're good at that. Black mage will get access to most of... I plan on leveling to around 20 to 24, so they'll get access to level 6, maybe a level 7 charge here or there. In terms of their melee effectiveness, it's not present. In terms of their defensive power, it's not present, but that's not why you're picking a mage. You're picking a mage because you want the early game AoE to clear trash packs, and you want the late game boosting power from Fade and Temper. Why am I picking a red mage? Red mage is always a gamble, because you don't know what white and black magic you're going to be locked out of. The good news is that you're going to be locked out of relatively little in the way of black magic. You're losing 3 slots at 6, I think 1 slot at 5, and anything 7+. That's not that tall a price to pay, whereas white magic, you're losing 1 to 2 slots from 1, you're losing 2 slots from 3, you're losing 1 to 2 slots from 4, you're losing 2 slots from 5, and you're losing 1 slot from 6. That's a hefty list of white magic you're losing out on, but they can equip thief levels of armor, so mediocre. They can equip thief levels of weapon, so mediocre. No, they can actually equip fighter levels of weapons, sort of, if we're not including axes, but nobody likes axes. They're the jack of all trades. And if you don't want to play safety, you take a red mage, and if you want to play really aggressive, you take a black mage. So this is our party. Ready, steady, go. First stop, Canaria. First stop, every time. Always check magic. Step 1, let's look at white magic. Is there a fade? There's no fade. Let's look at black magic, because we have to kill Garland. Hey look, some quack. Is it good? No. Will it kill Garland? Yeah. Second up, check the armor shop. Chain armor. Chain armor, chain armor, chain armor. Best bang for your buck you can get early game for fighters and red mages is chain armor. Let's check weapons. Silver sword for 3,000. That will be important if we end up finding a bucket of cash in TOF. So now we make the long trek. I use this as a measuring stick. Can we get... Well, encounters were messed with, so the measuring stick is imprecise, but in general, if you can make it all the way to TOF on the first encounter and not run into anything, then we're probably in business, and you should take note of that for encounter manipulation later. First treasure chest is a cap. A cap provides absolutely negligible defense, so I'm not even going to stop to put it on because I do not care. What do we got over here? Black shirt. We're going to do some rearranging. We want that black shirt to be semi-protected, and we want the fighter to have something to do in trash fights that isn't whack, that like the mages have. So we're going to give him the black shirt. So combat, that black shirt is going to be better than anything he can swing with. And then we got 2 casts of quack. Garland falls over. We're in business. First 2 items. We got the loot. That's not good. And we got the rod. So, due to us having a free bridge, we're on a key item hunt more than anything else right now. We need the canoe, we need the floater. So, first, we're going to come back and grab some of this white magic that we left behind, namely that heal 3. And we don't really need that harm 3. Let's double check black magic, make sure we got the good stuff. We got the good stuff. Let's check the item shop because there is a loose item, and sometimes it's hiding right in plain sight, although this is not one of those times. We're going to be moving places. I always buy 10 pures. More than 10s, more than heals, more than anything, 10 pures. Because there's always an incalculable number of things that are going to throw poison at you. Anything with stinger, anything with poison touch. Because there's a lot of stingers out there, and there's a lot of poison touches out there. I don't even remember everything that does poison. Just know that there's a lot of it. So, we're going to hike all the way there. We're going to cast some quack. Everything in the early game has crap magic defense. Even if we cast a spell and we still run away, it's okay. Because we want to make sure that we are finishing these encounters in 1 round as best we can. And for some characters that involves running away, and for some characters that involves quacking. Now you may be asking yourself, why aren't I using the black shirt? Well, to be honest, I'm not that interested in getting those kills. Like, and believe it or not, the black shirt does not have a 100% rate to kill everything that's there. So, back to the stuff at hand, we've got us a level 2 nuke. Now, because we have a level 2 nuke, that thief is going to stay alive. Oh, we have a lot of good stuff. I'll be back to those. So, remember when I talked about utility? Well, we've just seen some great utility. I need a... Nuke at level 2 means that with a class change, that thief is going to be able to cast Nuke. He'll get up to 4 charges of it. 4 charges of Nuke, you can do a lot of stuff with 4 charges of Nuke, especially in the final dungeon. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to use some of that. And then, because it's annoying, we're going to do some of that. We got a canoe. With Fiend Dungeons incentivized, that means that our next destination is going to be Volcano. So we're headed on a volcano trip. So we're going to need some heal potions. We're also going to check the armor shop because we're on the hunt for gold bracelets and pro rings. There's the gold bracelet, but we can't afford it. So we're going to make a mental note, gold bracelets and Provoca for like 15,000. Did I price myself out of life too? Let's find out. I did. Damn it. Alright, that's what I get for talking. So, it's not the end of the world. Everything's fine. With the scaling we got, we're just going to take the fight out here real quick. Yeah, just good enough. We just need to mow through them, get us some pocket change, because we are not leaving this town without Life 2. Life 2 is one of those spells that you are going to stop and take notice of. And the levels are, you know, fine. I'm less concerned about levels than I am about Life 2. So, we got our levels. One problem, we only have one save item, and it's a cabin, and we'd really like some levels before we dip into Volcano. So, we're going to alter our route slightly. Before we head to Volcano, we're actually going to head to Crescent Isle. The good thing about Crescent Isle is that there are sages there. Sages that are going to give us a key item. The key item we really, really hope is the floater. Because then we can start investigating all kinds of other stuff. So, we're hitting the river. We're not hitting the river. We're hitting the river. We're going to save here. We're going into foreign territory, so it's important to save before you head into anything that's completely unknown. Reduced overworld encounters means that this is a lot easier than I was expecting. Because what I was expecting was to run into some of this stuff, where I can just blanket it with nuke. Pick up some levels here and there. Take an inefficient route over here. Still didn't get anything. We're in a new town. Let's check the item shop. Hey look, it's the crown. That's a lot of money. You may have an idea of grinding for it. Don't do that. The crown is not necessary to get you in the air. So, I'm going to load up on heals, as though I would be heading for Volcano. We're going to check the armor shop. Nothing of note. We're going to check magic shop. The red mage can learn the bottom 3 of these, which is sad because we really want that one. We might come back for Invis 2. What do we got in level 6? Lightning 3, it's a spell. Bane was there. If we don't find Brack, maybe. Let's visit our friendos. Circle of Sages. What do you got? Floater. Okay. So this is going to change our routing a little drastically. Our original plan was to hit Volcano. That's no longer a thing that we really need to do. Can we stay at the end? We can stay at the end. Perfect. So. That's, even before I saw the frost, I don't like getting ambushed when I'm like 3 feet from the end. I also don't like getting ambushed when I'm like 3 feet from the end. There we go. Nice, good, nukeable. So, let's... an unrunnable giant. Ooh, an unrunnable giant with a hell of a right hook. I'm not concerned about his life because I'm packing life too. So now we've got our airship. Again, we're still on a key item hunt. So, who's nearby? Sarda. Let's see what Sarda gives us. Not something we wanted. We get 5% experience scaling out of it, but we don't have a boat because we have a flying boat. Do we have tail? We don't have tail. We have loot rod floater. We have rod. How badly do we want to do Earth Cave? Badly enough that I think we're gonna do it. So we're still following our no grinding principle. We have one nearby destination. Let's do it. Level 6 for Earth Cave could be considered ambitious. However, we've got for simple stuff, we've got heal 3 in case we take damage, we've got a full complement of heals, and we've got 6 charges of nuke. We're not going to open very many chests in here. Why are we not opening chests in here? Well, you see, I don't want to... This group, a nuke should take them out. If a nuke doesn't take them out, we'll have made a horrible decision. Stun Touch tells us we've made a wonderful decision. Them not dying tells us we've made a terrible decision. Let's try Quack. The black shirt is something I should be firing off every combat. Hey, look, we got some levels. Let's go ahead and top ourselves off. We continue on. Some chests are less out of the way than others. For example, on the first floor, there were the one chest to the north and the, like, 6 chests to the south, but those are really, really out of the way. Yeah, what? Witness now the power of Quack. It's not great. But we are conserving nuke charges. A good rule of thumb when you enter any dungeon, know how you're going to kill the final boss. Here is coming into play already. For example, how many spells do I currently have that I need to take down Lich? And the answer may surprise you. Because I don't actually need any of my nukes. I just need Quack. Fun fact of the day, the Fiend of Earth is vulnerable to his own element. But we still need to get there. We've got more poison stuff in the way, and we've got some very hard-hitting wizards. Equipped armor, right? Okay. Here, there. Let's do some heals. Free chest up here. It's more cash. Cash isn't bad, because remember, we're still looking to afford a $16,000 crown. And that's Stone Touch. Stone Touch raises an interesting proposition. Stone Touch is a thing that we cannot get around without purchasing softs. We're too poor for softs. So there's Frost. Frost is also something that we're not capable of handling right now. So, the Earth Cave, because there's 2 things in there that kill us, I deem that place beyond our capabilities. So now we have 2 options. We can continue clearing free chests, or we can head to the volcano and try our luck there. Because we're level 6, and because we have the knowest of no gear, and because we really want that crown, I'm going to start checking the free chests in Cardia. This, should be noted, is an inefficient play without the tail, because I'll have to make a trip back up here later when I turn in the tail, but if I can get $16,000 worth of crap out of here, it'll be worth it. Plus, there's some more difficult things nearby that I can just slap with a nuke and get some easy levels. Like so. Heal 3 is faster than healing, and we're not that attached to Quack right now. What do we got in here? So this plan has not gone well for us so far. We've got, in my estimation, maybe 6 grand. So we're gonna need to make some money off these encounters, no matter how small, no matter how inefficient. Just barbecue anything that comes into our field of vision. Alright. Well, there's this Asoft. Asoft's not going to save us from that Earth Cave. We're going to need a minimum of like 10. So, we picked up the free chests, and we've got like 8 grand. But, we've also got some shit to sell. We've got a bunch of shit to sell. So let's try selling it and see what it gets us. It is true and worth mentioning that Opal Shield is one of the highest absorbed shields in the game. But when I'm presented with the prospect of hanging on to an Opal Shield until the end of time, or sinking a bunch of time into a grind, we're going to throw this Opal Shield in the Chipper Shredder, see what we get out of it. The answer is not much. So the next question becomes, how attached are we to that black shirt? And the answer may surprise you, because I really want this crown. No. I really want this crown. Let's double check the price to see how long our grind's gonna be. Like 1,500. Peeds live up here. Sometimes, except when they don't. But we don't care, we just need barbecuable things. That's 1,600. That's a single troll. But we've got 38 nukes, so let's just blow it up. It was like 16,500. We're at 17. Let's go get us a crown. And we're going to stay at the end. Saving's always important. Everybody who never saves always dies. Remember that. That's a golden rule. So, we've got our crown. And we're still desperate for gear. We're even more desperate for gear because someone financially irresponsible seems to have sold our black shirt. So, we're going to do this crown quest real quick. We're going to nuke Astos because his magic defense is high enough that Quack's never going to land. Nuke is going to have a hard enough chance landing, let alone anything else. Although that nuke landed. So we've got our crystal. Now you may be asking yourself, we're looking for money and crap. Why didn't I hit Matoya? Why didn't I hit, we're looking for gear and crap. Why didn't I hit Elfland? Well, this brings me to another principle. The principle of never double dip an area. Only visit an area as many times as it takes to get everything you need out of it. Now, we did just pick up a katana, and that probably would have been worth a lot more than the black shirt. However, we didn't know that the katana was there. And at the time, if we wanted to check it, we would have been on foot, and that would have packed minutes onto our time. So let's wake up sleeping pointy ears. And let's rob his house. So, locked chests. Which locked chests are right for you? And the answer is a bit more in-depth than you might think. How much money do we have? Enough for magic. Let's check magic. Let's get through this encounter as fast as possible. Let's check magic. So, let's also look at weapons. There's nothing there we want. The only weapon that's worth buying is the silver sword, unless there's no early stuff that you want. Level 3, we've got Fire 3. We've got Warp. Warp is a utility spell, and I might want both of these white magic spells, so I'm only going to buy Fire 3 to see that all those are crap. And because of the dungeons we have in play, I really only want one copy of Warp. So Fade is locked, but we got Exit. But I'm not putting Exit in the first slot. Much like Warp, if you put stuff in the first slot, you will accidentally cast it. Aquatics and Temper, really good. Let's go grab us an Exit. What do we got here? Let's grab some save items so that we can save places. Let's take a look at items. Nothing there. We are still on the hunt for Pro Rings, so we know that the gold bracelet is in Provoca, but we're still on the hunt for Pro Rings. So, we've picked up the Elflin Crown Lock chests. I personally like picking up the Northwest Castle chests. It's a bit of a run to get to them, and there's only 3 of them, but they're not so far out of the way as to not be worth it. What do we got? Some cash, some more cash, and a little bit of cash. Not what we wanted, but the trip was short enough that I feel okay with it. Let's check Dwarf Cave. Did I check these already? I did. Ordinarily, I try to do Dwarf Cave in one sweep. Bonk, Flame Armor, Bane Sword. Oh, this place is loaded. Ooh, and a ribbon. Oh, look at all this good shit. Alright. So, we're done here. Let's leave. I'm not going to stop to equip yet because I don't care. Opening the menu as little as possible is good. So, I'm going to check the Corneria room, and then I'm going to be re-strategizing, planning on where I'm going next. Vendor Katana, second ribbon. Silver armor for the red mage. A potion, some crap, some more crap. So, we've now got this to work with. So the first thing we're doing, ribbon's coming down here. We need a ribbon on our Reser. Second thing we're doing, flame armor's going on them. That chain armor's not vendoring for crap. That cap's not vendoring for crap. We want that silver armor on that mage. We want this up here. We can't do that yet. But what we can do is we can have that there, because that's going to be there eventually. And we've got a second ribbon. Now, there's 2 things you could do with it. You could put it on the fighter, but the fighter's not swinging anything yet. Instead, we have 2 nuke casters down here. We're going to put that up here for now. We've got 2 nuke casters, so we're going to want all of the elemental protection on them. Now, weapons. We can't equip a lot of the good stuff that's on here. But we've got a Coral Sword, and we've got a Falchion. Are they good? No. Will they do in combat? Maybe. Let's take a brief stop in Canaria, because we've got a lot of cash, and our first likely destination has a bunch of bad stuff in it. So we're going to restock on potions. We know that Poison Touch was rampant in there, so we're going to stock a second thing of Cure Potions. We're still, in essence, hunting incentive items. So, we're going to head back to Earth. Only now, we're not doing, we've got some more levels, we've got serviceable armor, and the ribbons won't help protect against Stone Touch. The only thing that protects against touch attacks is a character's magic defense stat. So, let's review what just happened. We've got arachnids that have got Exfer and Glare. Glare by itself, I'm not concerned because ribbons, because I have a ribbon on my Reser. However, once we throw Exfer into the mix, I suddenly have a lot of concerns because Exfer is going to neutralize those ribbons. Which means, for my own purposes of routing, arachnids, as far as I'm concerned, are now nuke on site. A full pack of Grogers, similarly, will be nuke on site because at this low level my character's magic defense is not great, so they're a lot more likely to be stone touched. Whereas a single nuke is likely to take out most or all of them. We're gonna check this chest. Why? Because there's an earth elemental in front of it. Do we care? Not particularly. Sure, he ate 2 nukes, but there's an easy chest here in the way, and we get some good early experience out of it. Which lands us our 3rd ribbon, which is gonna live up here. Sorry, Thief. The Thief is never worth having a ribbon on, unless the person who's supposed to be wearing the ribbon is dead, and you think you have a lot more dungeon in front of you. That is the only time I would ever give a Thief a ribbon. Or if you have more than one Thief in the party and you happen to find all 3 ribbons. Incentive chest gives us TNT. That's not what we want to see. So, one other thing to note about what's going on in this seed. There's talk about loose items. Going into the seed, I was under the impression that there were going to be not very many loose items given incentive locations, but words. TNT being an incentive location has kind of screwed that up. So for example, we've got the loot, we've got the key, we've got the rod. We are still missing the bottle and the slab and the cube. And I'm starting to get concerned about our remaining things. Because we can't find the bottle in C. That's just not happening. Similarly, we're not finding the slab or the cube in Sky. That's not happening. It's possible the slab or the cube are in C, but that would mean that it's not possible that you're not casting Life 2, you're casting Fire 3, you're casting Nuke though. That would mean that, like, we can't have the slab in C and then the bottle in Sky, because those 2 dungeons we wouldn't be able to get into them. So, likelihood is now very increased that we're on the hunt for a loose item, which means a key item that is not in an incentivized location. Doing the math in my head real quick, we've got Waterfall Robot, we've got, oh right, there's also Volcano. So it's entirely possible that we still have stuff left. Weapon, Light Axe is better than Coral Sword, also does a thing, so does that. So, given what we know, we're probably going to be full clearing Volcano next. Why Volcano? Because it's got some of the highest chest density in a dungeon, it's got an incentive item, it's got a fiend, and it can start helping us narrow down, like, what we know and what we don't know. Hello, Tiny Fairy. There should be 3 loose items. Right, because, and I didn't do that right. Right, because other quest items were incentivized, so the adamant does count as a loose item. What fetch items have we found so far? We found TNT, we found ship, we found adamant. So I think all the rest of them are ones that we want. Still, if you're unsure, it's still good to plan on hitting up. We're also missing tail, so there might still be one loose. Either way, Volcano is still our main destination because of chest density and because of incentive location, and it's got everything we want in it. How many heal potions we got? 80, that's enough. So we're gonna dig out all of Volcano. We've got ribbons, we've got armor, we now have an ice sword. For me personally, that takes care of my endgame weapon requirement. Your mileage may vary. A lot of people... Well, we also have the adamant, but we can't use that yet. This is not an encounter we wanted to be ambushed on because they hurt. We could really use some caster armor before we did this, but we're not rich enough. We're not going to take the time to plow through these. Not what we wanted. Usually you can skip Squiggle Chest, but if you have any concerns at all, that you are looking for a loose item, it is highly recommended that you skip. Absolutely no chests nowhere. You can bet on the odds, but I have been in one too many races where I bet on the odds and lost hard. So now I check everything until I know I have what I need. Let's see. Another question worth asking. If I'm loaded to the bear with nukes, why am I running away from everything? Well, there is the first question. How are we killing Carrie? Carrie, more often than not, will have a lot of things that hurt. Even if one of those is just meleeing over and over again, just melee alone can leave us in a position we don't want to be in. So I'm conserving enough nukes that a single nuke caster could get there. I'm also conserving nukes in case I run into the 4-peed encounter, which is basically the best encounter in here. Not to mention 4 unrunnables. Second light axe, but I can't do anything with it. Sun sword. We're going to leave the ice sword on in here because there's going to be a lot of things that are vulnerable to ice. However, once I am done with this volcano, or before I get to Carrie, whichever I remember first, we're going to be swapping out the ice sword for the sun sword. It's got a little bit more power and it's got a little bit more accuracy. But anti-undead does us absolutely no good in here. Oh, I forgot to mark orb 1. Whoops. Do you need to be fastidious with the tracker? Short answer, no. Long answer, no. I only use it because I find it helpful tracking on flags that I consider relatively similar to each other. A lot of the tournament flags, for example, are relatively similar in difficulty, so having some baselines to compare can be helpful for measuring when you think you're behind. Another question some of you may be asking yourselves. The Red Mage can equip the Ice Sword. Why have I not bothered to equip the Red Mage with the Ice Sword? Answer, because if he's doing anything in combat, he's nuking. So that is some time that I can avoid opening my menu. I will always break for Agama fights. They are one of the better efforts spent to experience gained encounters in the game, even as a single Agama. Their base stats are not great, and the experience you get from them is pretty great. There's a lot of memes about, oh, Agama grinds, Agama facts. The memes came from somewhere. Agama grinds are really good. We're gonna try and quad X this puppy, see what we get. Perfect. Quad X, for those not in the know, so long as your target is not death resistant, as long as they have 300 or less hit points, they will die. See, that time, he didn't die because he had more than 300 hit points. But after that Night Swing, well, after that Night Swing he's dead anyway, but the example from the first encounter still stands. Quad X went off after the Night swung, which brought him below 300 hit points, so Quad X landed. It is basically a 300 damage spell for things that have less than 300 hit points. Why am I casting Fire 3 on a red dragon? To just whittle it. It's better than melee, and Fire 3's not doing anything else in the dungeon. And we just need to whittle it into Quad X range, because that's what's doing our heavy lifting. A cube. Okay. We're running low on Quad X's, we're just gonna bail. Carry time. So, the melee are gonna melee, and the nukers are gonna nuke. And then we're gonna reassess after round 1. That first... So, melee is doing about what low-level melee does, which is nothing. Carry is doing about what carry does, which is crushing melee. But that's why we go all-in offense. The more rounds that carry has to swing, are more rounds that we are likely to die from carry swinging at us. So, we're 2 incentive dungeons down. We're still on the hunt for the slab and the bottle. We've got 1 available incentive location left for us. Let's dive waterfall. I will point out, it is highly inadvisable to dive waterfall unless you can also dive on rack. However, we are currently in a position where we don't have that luxury, so you should never be afraid of it, but you also shouldn't seek it out. Northern Continent river fights are good for patching your levels if you think they're low. Although it's worth noting that if you can avoid leveling past 15 on the Fighter and Thief, that is preferable. Why do we want to stop them leveling before 15? Well, for some reason, magic slot changes only happen after you class change, and only after you level into odd levels. So, they've already hit 15, so we've already passed the point that we would have preferred. Is it worth running and avoiding combat? Sure. But, unfortunately, these Frost Gators are not particularly runnable. So, we're just gonna have to deal with that. Another thing to note so far as I run this seed, you'll hear a lot of people talk about encounter manipulation. Encounter manipulation is a good option when an encounter table is particularly bad. How do we find a bad encounter table? Well, because it has 12 encounters that are all within, like, 15 steps. Or it has something where the first 2 encounters are within 4 steps, but the third encounter takes like 28. If encounters are evenly spaced, then it doesn't strictly matter. Or relatively evenly spaced. I consider this to be relatively evenly spaced. There comes a point where the time spent trying to manipulate the table is far worse than the time you would spend just plowing through the table itself. This is a good and bad encounter to take for grinding. You can measure exactly how good it is by the number of whiz mummies you find in the pull. If you get 3 or more, it's good. If you get less than 3, it's less good, but you should still kill them because you're there anyway. Junk, garbage, junk, garbage, junk. Slab. We have slab and cube, which means that we now have access to where... There you are. We now have access to sky. We're still tailless, and that's not good. However, progression above all else. It is entirely likely that I will get to Temple of Fiends with an unupgraded Thief, or one that has only just upgraded and has very few charges. And that's okay. He'll still be a Katana Monkey. Like, it's fine. So, we're gonna get back on our boat. I said we're going to get back on our boat. And we're gonna go turn in slab. While we're here, let's take a look at what we got for level 5 magic. Do we care? No. Do we care? We do care. We care very much about fast. Everything else we can leave, but fast goes to the top of the list. The weapon shop is no longer worth checking because the thief can't equip silver swords, and we've got the katana when he class changes, and the fighters got better than silver swords. We're still not finding pro rings. But while we're in the area, before we headed to Doom Dungeon, full of Doom things, and because we have absolute buckets of cash, let's pick up some gold bracelets for our unarmored mages and also the thief. And while we're here, we can top up on items. Let's make sure people have room. Never going to need that iron shield. We are going to not need... We never need those. We never need glove thingies. We're equipping a wooden shield because hilariously it's the best we've got. So let's pick up some gold bracelets. You need one. You need one. You need one. Now, I've seen silver bracelets, and I've seen copper bracelets. Why, oh why, am I only bothering with the gold ones? Well, silver bracelets are okay if they're early and they're cheap. Their defense is... Oops, I didn't buy... How many heals do I have? That is not enough. we're heading back in, because I was thinking about what to say next and I forgot to buy items. The silver bracelets are okay. They're the copper bracelets, in my view, are never ever worth the price that you're paying for them, because they're basically wooden armor without the defense penalty, and you will never notice wooden armor. Like, you'll just never notice it. Same with cloth. Just don't. Just save yourself the time, the trouble, the effort. Just don't. Gold bracelets, on the other hand, are iron armor without the defense penalty. And iron armor is the best that the fighter can wear prior to class change. So, iron armor is the good stuff. You will very much notice the help with mitigation there. And of course they're unrunnable. Welcome to Lupaville. These are the Lupa people. That one has a lobotomy because he kept getting in everyone's way. That one has a chime. There's a level 8 magic shop here, but because we're never getting level 8 charges, we actually don't care what's in it. Team Steak! For those of you new to the community, there is a debate on whether Tyro is friend or food. As you can see, Tyro is clearly food. I don't know how anyone could mistake a steak for food, or mistake a steak for friend. Look at him, he's delicious. And you just charbroil him? He's so good for your party. Are there times you want to hug Tyro instead of eat Tyro? Of course. Tyro's base HP is pretty kind of really high. And he also has the highest magic defense in the game. Which means that unless you're packing Nuke or Fade, unless you're packing Nuke or Fade, he's just not worth the effort. You could find better things to bash your head against. So, came straight here because I knew that Pro Rings would be here. How did I know that Pro Rings would be here? Well, because I've checked every other armor shop, and it wasn't at those. Oops, that's not the landing spot. That's the landing spot. Why do I want Pro Rings? Well, they are the highest glove armor in the game. Yes, I'm including the Opal Gauntlet. They're tied with the Opal Gauntlet. And they don't have the evasion penalty of the Opal Gauntlets. And they protect from the death element. There is really no question as to what you want. Equipped on your glove slot. If the choice is Pro Ring or anything else, you take the Pro Ring. There are, of course, exceptions. The exception being on your knight, and your knight has a ribbon. Oh, we've got some good stuff here. We don't need you. We're moving you down. No, we can't equip Opal yet. And we had the Mage Staff. Let's prune our weapon inventory. That's junk, that's junk, that's junk, that's junk, that's junk, that's junk, that's junk. Okay. Thief now has a cast item. Pro Cape is basically a shield for a mage. My red mage is now, outside of Opal Bracelet, what I would call perfectly geared. Another question. One from a possibly more veteran racer, Lord Fizzlebeef. You've got Bonk and 3 ribbons. Why are you still opening chests, you complete nincompoop? Well, because we still have a floating item. And that floating... We have 2 items left unaccounted for and 1 incentive location to check. and we are missing the bottle, which we very, very need, and the tail, which we kind of really want. Either way, we're still very interested in opening chests. Vampires with lightning too, ordinarily scary. I've got 3 ribbons. I do not care if my thief falls over. And vampires are very, very, very good for the experience. Guards, not. I can spend my nukes on better things. We don't need a pro ring because we've got a full complement. We don't need a silver helmet because also, I hear another question coming from chat. Lord Fizzlebeef, you complete numpty. You miscounted your incentive locations. You've got 1 in here and you've got 1 in C. So of course you're going to find what you're looking for. And the answer to that is, well, talking and playing is really hard, and that's why I generally don't do it. So we're going to stop opening chests. We are officially in what is termed go mode, in that we have absolutely everything we could ever want. Because we're looking for bottle, and we're looking for tail. And we're going to find one of them in C, and we're going to find one of them in Star-shaped room, just up ahead. There is an alternative to this theory, that one of the things that I'm looking for I have forgotten, and will be feeling very embarrassed about shortly. That. So, we're going to go back to original plan A. I know exactly what I'm doing at all times. There is a loose item. The only way there would not have been a loose item is if bottle was right there. Bottle was not right there, which means we've checked all incentive locations we have access to, which means we're missing the bottle. So we're just going to warp back down here. We're just going to open some stuff. We don't care about Zeus gauntlets. We've got nuke. These encounters are generally not worth the effort taken, but I'm taking some damage, so let's dump a heal 3. So, we've got a loose bottle, which means that essentially what happened, I believe, the way the randomization works, is that Bridge ended up in C. Bridge was replaced by Cabin because we got free Bridge. Hello, friend. And at present, we're just gonna really, really hope that the bottle's in here. Why are we hoping the bottle's in here? Well, if it's not in here, that means we're gonna have to start digging optional dungeons. The optional dungeons on our list are Ordeals, which is the shortest and likely our first target. Ice, which with the presence of Warp and Exit is actually not so bad to check. And Marsh, which nobody likes Marsh, never do Marsh. Probably should have taken that encounter, but I'm conserving nukes. So we need to, because we're conserving nukes, but we're not conserving fire 3s. So we're now in a position where we kind of really want a melee party. Thus, Ice Sword there, Sun Sword there, now makes sense. Now we have 3 melee people. Meleeers? Meleemans. Warriors of melee descent. I don't know, pick your pronoun. Where is the bottle? We really need a bottle. There's only so much time I can stall for. Oh, hello, poison damage. Again, much like Lightning 2 earlier, we would be concerned with poison damage if we weren't packing 3 ribbons. Although we will do a little bit of that. Not worth it. So we've got one more we've got one more floor to check to really hope it's in Sky before we start having a little bit of a panic attack. Thank you, Poison Touch. It's this floor. Flash we don't care about because we're running away from this fight anyway. Gaze we care a little bit about, although not on any ribbon targets because paralysis is annoying. Show me the bottle. Whole lot of not bottle going on over here. We're taking a shortcut. I said that we're taking a shortcut. Back to the entrance to the floor. Warp saves us time. Getting back to there. Do we care about a flame shield? Aegis. We kind of care about a flame shield. But not at present. Oop, did I? Okay. Running back, because I didn't feel like using Warp that time. Rock Galls, you are always nukeable. Boy, I wish a Thief was swinging something a little bit heftier. So, level 20. This is really cementing the idea that we're not getting any, defense. That we're not getting any spell charges on the Thief, which is very, very unfortunate. For the record, rock golems are probably my favorite target in Sky. They're worth ridiculous amounts of experience. They're very easy to kill if you have Fade or Nuke because they generally don't roll high hit points. The downside is that they resist any other elemental magic you can throw at them. But they're usually very, very squishy. I'm going to take a brief inventory of spells. 2 nukes, some temper, 1 nuke, some temper. Okay. Why am I taking an inventory of spells? Well, Wii is on the Warmech floor. And I never shy away from a Warmech fight if I think I can take it. And in this position, because I believe that I am... Slimes are weak to Fire 3, by the way. Because I believe that I will just be fast temper bonking Tiamat to death. I have, I think, enough nukes supplied to take down a Warmech. Or alternatively, I can fast temper bonk and then reserve the nukes for Tia. That might actually be the better play. Especially considering I'm about to dump one of said nuke charges on a life 2 so that my idiot thief can live. And also, we're wasting nukes here because we have heirs to deal with. This is not a friendly floor today. Airs aren't even that great experience, but when they're unrunnable, we have very little choice in the matter. Their default evade is such that it's better to assume that they are just evade capped than to waste around swinging and then casting your spells anyway. God, what am I? So we're at a nuke. Your 3's not great, but it's what we've got. It's what we had. Oh boy. Oh, we may be testing the melee theory now. Yeah, that's not good. Yep. So, it's going to be up to Red Mage, dumping some Fire 3s. Because that's about the only way we're getting through this encounter. Although we can try fast. Okay, we made it to the safe zone. Tiamat's room is a safe zone for the floor. So now, we've got Fiend number next. What are we doing? Well, we're doing some bonk, we're doing some temper, we're doing some fast. We're going to give our melee some swing for the fences power. And why are we doing that? Well, because we've flushed all our other offensive spells down the crapper. Mage Staff is going to be more powerful than anything he's swinging. Let's just keep tempering. 8 hits, 619 damage. We can do better. Ready, steady, crush. That's what we're talking about. Okay. And so begins Bottle Quest 2012. I'm gonna commit to the dungeon order I told you earlier. We're gonna hit Ordeals, and then we're gonna hit Ice, and then we're gonna hit Marsh. We're also gonna loop back to chests that we skipped, i.e. top floor Earth, bottom area of second floor Earth, TOF locked. Those are the chests that we've skipped so far. If there's ever a possibility of loose items in the wind and you don't know, if you think there might be loose items or a reason that you need to be tracking loose items, it's important to keep an eye on what you do and, more importantly, what you skip. We're going to poke our head in here real quick, check these chests, because this is faster than everything no matter what. We should have stopped to drop off tail on the way through. We will be, if this fails, looping back to Ordeals. It's an inefficient play, but it's the one we're making on the way. We're going to be hitting Adamant turn-in so we can get Excalibur. Thorhammer is fine, but not what we're looking for. Back to the northern continent. Just for a quick minute. Just an itty bitty minute. So, let's take a break and let's rearrange some gear. We want the Aegis Shield up here. We want the Aegis Shield more than we want the Pro Ring. We want The flame shield more than we want a second pro ring. And the heal helmet. Dead, fine with gear. Hit, fine with gear. Weapons, we want Excalibur there. Oop. And we want Katana there. And we'll keep Ice there. Although, at some point in the future, we're going to want Defense on the Knight. And we're going to get more use out of Thor than we will out of Light. Okay. That seems like good enough. So now that we're in the area, let's do our deals. Was that our last save item? Was a stake in the way? Sure is. Should I be killing it? Probably not. But if you're not going to be setting, you know, a record pace, why not memes? Memes are always delicious. But since we've already passed the 20 mark, what's our next destination? Well, if we can unearth Mazza, then we need to get the Knight to 24, because when the Knight gets to 24, they get a 5th swing of the Mazza per attack. Top. Why am I saying top to myself? Well, the Pillar Maze, it's important to attack it consistently every time. Do you want to do all top? Do you want all bottom? That's entirely up to you, but I highly recommend having a consistent method of attack. I always take either the top exit or the closest exit when there are 2 options. Another thing to note is that a correct teleporter will only take you to a new room. And only an incorrect teleporter will send you backwards. I believe there are occasions where multiple paths are available to hit the stairs. Oop, I think that's good. No, that was not good. There we go. And if you make an incorrect decision, well, if you bring Warp with you, you have an excellent way. I should have grabbed that Pro Cape, but I didn't, and I'm not going back for it. Ice Shield. And we got Flame Armor. So yeah, having a plan of action every time, and having Warp to undo costly mistakes is the secret to doing randomized ordeals in a very timely manner. Junk. Oh, where's that bottle? Bottle here? Bottle ain't here. We out. Not even gonna take the Zombie Dragon Trap Tile. Exit is just faster. So, we've crossed one dungeon off the list. Let's cross the less invasive dungeon off our list as well. We're going to take a trip to Earth, and we're going to dig out the 2 floors that we neglected to do. Also those 2 chests off to the side on Earth 3. Those are some other ones that we didn't do. But first, let's pick up some level 3 magic. Codex and Temper. You know, just in case we do get spell charges eventually. Why did I look at the Red Mage? Well, anything the Red Mage can learn, everybody else can learn too. back to level 2 in a bit. It's more important that I knock out this Earth Cave first. I'm gonna be real mad if they're here. I was all excited about myself earlier. I said, Lord Fizzlebeef, good job. You managed to outline when it's good to skip chests. And then you discovered that this has loose items. Point of note, why did I reset after opening that box? Why didn't I just cast exit? Well, resetting is faster than opening the menu. And because we're going to be doing this potentially twice, that's a lot of good resetting. Although this tactic is a lot better if you're actually manipulating the encounter table. Oh, spiders with mute. Mute's one of those annoying spells, although it's less annoying with ribbons. Ooh, Mazmune. We've got our Mazmune, so now we're Super Mega Ultra Double Go mode. And we're going to carry that out because we want that. Let's head to Earth 2 and those couple chests on Earth 3. Are we expecting anything we want? Probably not. Because we can't have nice things. Out the... What do we got over here? Oh, Perfect. Ice armor. Alright, so we'll be exiting out yet again. There's a lot of things I forgot about that I might actually want. It's also horrifyingly likely that I might be finding the dragon armor before I find the bottle. Get out the way! So we got a couple items on this floor we can check. Check you. And we can check one more on the right side because I picked up that one, I picked up that one, I picked up that one. So there's just one more in here. Ugh, really? Please desist. Thank you. Not the bottle. Well, we tried. Onward. I really, 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 really don't want to do Marsh. I just don't. So we're gonna stop here for some save items that I hope are houses. But they're not. What do we have for level 1 magic? Heal 3. We'll stop for heal 3. We're not going to stop for anything else, but we'll stop for heal 3. Fog 2 was also an available option there. I do not believe in Fog 2. As a spell, I just don't believe in it. If we're in a position where we are working on a defensive strategy, I would much rather rely on stacking ruse casts or defense casts with Invis 2. At the rate of 1 defense cast equals 2 Invis 2s, you only need 6 Invis 2s to become evade capped. Unless you're doing something stupid like wearing the steel armor, but maybe even then. When you're evade capped, it's only 3 and 256 that will hit you. Those will all be crits, and you'll take a ton of damage, but it's 3 and 256. Whereas with Fog 2, you're just reducing incoming damage, but you're still taking incoming damage. And there is math that supports the idea of reducing crits, but I would rather just eat the crit, because it's highly likely that my knight is going to be in good enough armor to survive a crit anyway, than continue taking damage. Why am I going the long way around? Well, I'm going to be cheeky. We're going to warp up here, and we're going to open these this way. Because that's our bottle. That's our thing we want. We're now headed places doing things. But we're going to stop for Nuke and Life too, because those are important. We're not going to pick up Saber. We're not going to waste our time with that. He's only ever going to cast Nuke. If he gets to cast Nuke at all. Nope. Let's do that one. Gonna need to stop at the inn and some houses, I don't know, something. Next stop, Gaia. We're at 117 and we're still preparing to kill a fiend. This is not a position that I would prefer to be in for the seed, but having a necessary item squirreled away in a place that we would never voluntarily dig out has been a real crunch to our time. And they don't have houses either. Well, that sucks. Next stop, Seed. No. So, I should point out that ordinarily, my play would be to just drop a house outside to save, and then just head straight in. But some idiot went through all his houses, so we're just gonna have to stay at the inn. Because I don't know exactly how many nuke charges I have, but I'm willing to bet it's not enough. And you always save before you do a dungeon. Always. Always, always, always. We care about exactly nothing in here. We are so overgeared. It's kind of a little funny. Fun fact of the day, despite shuffling unrunnables, the Red Sahag Wiz Sahag encounter is always unrunnable. Why is that, you might ask? Well, in the code of the game, there are what we call A-side encounters and B-side encounters. There's only a fixed number of encounters on the game, but they have an A-side and a B-side. And essentially how unrunnables work is that an entire encounter is unrunnable, both A-side and B-side. So if the B side's a boss, then the A side is unrunnable. And it just so happens that the only encounter in the game that is true for, that's, you know, actively used, is the A side is I actually don't remember if it's A side or B side, but one of the sides is Wiz-Sahag, Red-Sahag, and the other side is Pirates, which is a boss fight, and thus always unrunnable. So these guys are always unrunnable. That can affect your strategy going into Sea Shrine, because you'll need to have some form of AoE available in order to mow through those packs, because they are on every floor except the bottommost one. I'm not taking any of these encounters unless I absolutely have to, because I'm in a rush and I'm not desperate enough for experience that I'm willing to deal with scrap. I'm even less desperate now that my knight has hit 24 and thus 5 swings on the Massa per attack. I've got everything I could ever possibly want for a Temple of Fiends Revisited. And yet things just keep getting in my way. Just get out of the way. Just get out of there. Just get out of the way. So, let's see. Another question you may be asking yourself. On these unrunnable encounters where I'm just tossing nukes and going bleh, why am I not swinging with the 2 melee fighters? At this point, it's a question about microgame, and, you know, every frame matters. If I just instinctually go to wait, then they will always have the shortest possible action. It's true that if I have them target something, they might attack and swing and kill it. However, it's also just as likely that they might attack the darkness and nothing will happen. And that's a lot of dead air to deal with. You also have to deal with the time it takes to target, and I know that sounds silly, but in an individual encounter, yes, absolutely, it's kind of silly. You don't need to bother with it. Over the course of a run, that can be a lot of encounters that you're doing that for. So, we're still out of houses, and I forget where houses are sold, so we're just going to stay at the end. We're at 122. We're way farther behind than I would expect to be for a seed of this difficulty. Let's dive Topher. On the brief instant that I was on the menu screen, I saw that I've got 1 charge split amongst the Knight and the Ninja. So I've got 1 charge of Nuke, 1 charge of Quad Extra Temper, 1 charge of Life 2, and 1 charge of Heal 3. These will come into... These are very good resources to know about for the Fiend fights. The Fiend fights themselves, I highly recommend always knowing a game plan before you get there. One of the things that I see runners of all skill levels doing is they do a run similar to this. They're running through, they know they're skipping all the trash fights, everything's fine, just charging along. They get to a Fiend fight, and then they freeze. And then they stop and think to themselves, okay, now that I'm at the Fiend fight, what do I do? You can save yourself very, very noticeable amounts of time, seconds, maybe even minutes, over the course of a Topher dive, if you know what you're going to do to a Fiend before you even get to them. In the case of Lich 2, I already know that my attack plan is going to be swing, swing, nuke, nuke. I have enough nuke charges amongst the red mage and the black mage that they will not be drained by the time I get to any of the harder fiends. I also don't feel the need to heal before Lich 2 because, well, because he's already dead. Carry 2 is where I start respecting fiends though, and full healing before every fiend fight. From Carry 2 onward, it's unlikely that you're just going to mash through and one-shot a fiend. For example, with this carry 2 fight, my actions will still be swing, swing, nuke, nuke. However, if that first round doesn't get the job done, I will be throwing Quad X into the mix. Quad X is one of those funny spells where the more you know about the game, the better it is, but because I know that carry's base HP is going to be around 600, 700, 800? 600, I think. If I track my damage well enough, I can properly guesstimate where I'm going to be. So that was 266. 236, so let's call it 500. And dead. So we didn't even need to guess. That time was around 630, 640 hit points. And of course we have these, they're unrunnable, and I neglected to pick up Ice 3. Well, this is where we pay for some of our earlier decisions. Of the things that we have available to us, Fire 3 at least hits everything. It's a bad decision, don't get me wrong, but it's still spreading damage out. But the 2 Fire 3s plus the Katana meant that we killed one of the waters. I'm unwilling to waste further spells, we're just going to mash in melee and get through there. I'm also unwilling to spend nukes because the real gatekeepers of the game still lie ahead of me, and that is Kraken 2 and Tiamat 2. They are both beasts that should always be feared, but for different reasons. Damn it. Yeah. I don't want to waste that, but I will waste a nuke charge here. Waters just hurt. And the mages can afford to waste their nuke charges. The ninja cannot. And I'll show you why in a couple seconds. Because my battle plan for Kraken 2 is going to be swing, nuke, nuke, nuke. Why is it swinging 3 nukes? Well, much like the carry 1 problem we had earlier, the more rounds we let Kraken 2 swing, the more rounds we might just wipe. Kraken 2's problem is absolutely monstrous melee power. Take, for example, double the Black Mage's health in damage. That Kraken rolled very low on hit points. So we got lucky there, but you can see the power that we're dealing with, and the power that we want to avoid at all costs. Next stop, Tiamat 2. Tiamat 2 has a very different problem. The problem with Tiamat 2 generally isn't the power. It's the staying power, and the armor. So we're gonna give a little helping hand. We've also got high evade. That katana missed, which tells me that we're probably not getting there with melee. We're probably gonna get there with spells. That was a single hit from katana. That was a lot of hits from that. Nuclear comes out. Nuclear is one of the endgame spells to always be very, very cautious of, because ribbons don't do anything against it. It's only a character's inherent magic defense that determines whether the spell, quote-unquote, hits or not. One brief fire hose healing session later, let's tag us a chaos. Now, I'm gonna go against the thing that I always do in races that I should stop doing. We're gonna rearrange. We're gonna rearrange because we may find ourselves in a position where we need to double check, ribbon, bonk, ribbon. We may find ourselves in a position where we may need to exploit an RNG loop. RNG loop is an interesting quirk of how the game handles attacks and its RNG table. Until we have reason to fear otherwise, we're just gonna start a swing. That was kind of a reason to slow down. A full round of buffs, and not much happened. May start throwing nukes instead. Dump our nuke charges, see how far we get with the limited melee we already have. I instinctually went for the SRL window to get ready to type not done, but we're not doing that. We're just gonna keep powering through. Unfortunately, Quad X does not work on Chaos. He is immune to the death element. There we go. Boom, 130-112. Given our loose item hunt and our sloppy routing early, we could have done better. We could have shaved time off that. Notes for the Chaos fight. Chaos is generally where you are in a position where you are using the best of what you have left. In that case, because Kraken 2 fell over real easily, and Tiamat 2 fell over kind of easily, I was in a position where I still had a lot of melee power and still had a lot of nuke power. So 2 solid rounds of buffing my best melee swinger, which was Massa-wielding Knight, I was satisfied with his melee power at that point. From there, because Chaos can have anything, including nukes or nuclears or other things that I can't resist, it's best to start dumping nuke charges. Because if your mage dies still holding a ton of nuke charges, that's a lot of wasted damage that you could have had. It's more instinctual than anything else, which feels terrible to say, but when you know that you're staring down a Chaos that's 50 to 200% hit points, well, his base is 2,000, so you know that we're looking at somewhere between 1,000 and 4,000 hit points. That Chaos seemed to have average absorb and average evasion, which meant that melee could probably get there, but it would take a while. So any help that we can lend it with, 1 to 400 damage nukes is going to be much appreciated. Any other notes about this seed as I played through it? One thing that I tell people to do all the time: read the flags, read the flags, read the flags. If you do not understand the flags as written and how many items are loose, then you'll, as you saw with me, you'll encounter doubt part of the way through, you'll end up on a bad strategy, and you'll end up needing to do stuff that you ordinarily wouldn't do, like double dipping Earth. If I had known from the beginning, and known solidly from the beginning, that there was a missing item, then I would have dug out all of Earth the first time I was there, no question. So always read the flags and know what you're incentivizing, know what open progressions you have available to you. Just know everything. There's going to be a lot of things that you see that are always checked. It's important to take note of things when they are not checked, just as there are things when they are checked. But yeah, read the flags so you know whether or not you're digging out everything. Do I have any other comments about the seed? I don't believe I do, so I think I'm going to cut this off here. If you have any questions about this, ping me in Duckling Spoiler Chat, or just PM me. I'm always happy to go over any strategy or any questions. Good luck and welcome to FFR.